Thank you for joining Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holten today. Today's guest is one of the easiest cowgirls in the world to love and cheer on as she blazes her own path in the equine industry, Lauren McCain. She is on the Country Tough Trail Versatility National Board, a certified judge, a horsemanship and mulemanship clinician, an equine breeder, and just an all-around friend to the equine species. Even though Lauren is young, she is respected and valued by all ages. You just cannot help but love her because of her authenticity and positive outlook. I enjoy helping Lauren McCain get introduced to the world in any way that I can. With Lauren being the go-getter she is, I have no doubt the roles will be flipped one day and she will be the one introducing me. Get ready, world. Here's Lauren McCain. Welcome back to Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holten. Today, I have someone with me by the name of Lauren McCain. Okay, so Lauren has been with Von Holten Ranch for a couple of years, and now she is about to embark upon the next chapter in her life. Okay, so Lauren answered a Facebook post of mine where I was looking for judges. Okay, so she came on board and she figured out judging. She had a great background in it, and now she was actually invited to be one of the members of our Country Tough Trail Versatility National Advisory Board. Okay, so Lauren has got a background in showing, and now she's just now began showing again, but then she wants to be in the equine world, she wants to be a breeder. So she's actually wanting to create mules.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let's start with your previous competition history. So because I've seen pictures of you in English attire and Western attire, I've seen you on horses, I've seen you on mules. So what the heck have you been doing in the past?
Well, I started riding when I was a whopping 4 years old, and I started out on the 4-H circuit doing about any kind of riding I can. Basically, someone had an opening in the trailer, I was going and riding. Started off with horses, and then a couple years down the road, had a friend that was once like, hey, do you want to come ride mules with me? And I said, yep, and then I got hooked. So I have done anything from the jumper ring to the hunter ring, Western pleasure, reining, ranch, just gotten into obstacles again. Anything that you could ride a horse in, I have ridden it in.
Well, and you know what? I told everybody that you had answered a Facebook post about judging, but I actually knew you before you started judging for us because you had competed here in extreme cowboy racing on a mule.
On a mule, yep. That was our first competition, actually.
Okay, and it was here. So it's kind of weird. Like I feel like a lot of times I'm kind of like a collector of people, you know, and we get to meet all sorts of people, and then they, like I have one lady that she came to train with one of it's a clinician that comes here. His name's Lee Hart, and she only came to Lee Hart's clinic for a couple of years. And now, last year, she went to a Chicks in the Sticks, and now her grandson and they're going to do my entire Country Tough Trail Versatility thing, and they started taking clinics. So people and their roles change with us. It's really cool. Like the cool ones is whenever they'll do horse competitions, and then they're part of a wedding, you know. So people's role with us changes, it seems like. So you started with a competition here, and then you came over and become a judge. So tell it why do you have this passion towards breeding?
It all started out because I had a very good friend of mine that was breeding paints, and she was kind of going against the norm of breeding and trying to better the breed. And it was really cool to see her try to match up these mares and these studs together to try to improve this breed. So that's kind of where my passion really started, was trying to make these horses these better equine partners for us and improve their attitudes, improve their longevity, improve the gaits, the way they move, and the fact that it all starts with a mare and a stud, and you're in control of that. Like, that just was really, really interesting to me. Genetics played a huge role into that. So that's where it kind of started.
All right, so we're on a 3-week rotation here. We have one where it's someone for the equine industry. The second week is someone that's not from the equine industry, typically like a business leader. And then the third week is myself, where I talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. Okay, so for the people that are listening to this that are not equine people, let's explain what the heck a mule is.
So a mule is part donkey and part horse. And a mule is the fact where the dad is a donkey and then the mama is a horse or a mare.
Okay. All right. Now, what happens if you switch the roles if you have like a male horse and a female donkey?
We call that a henny.
Okay. So it has like a completely different name.
Completely different name.
Have you ever rode a henny?
I have ridden 2 hennies.
Okay. Like, dislike, what you think? Anything?
I wasn't a huge fan of them, but the mule industry right now is just starting to putting nice mares with nice jacks. It used to be like if you had an old broken down mare in the back pasture and might have gotten in with your donkey and created a mule. We are just now, and that's what is exciting about the mule industry, we're just now starting to produce these amazing mules with some amazing mares. Hennies haven't gotten to that point. So they're still kind of backyard breeding. There are some breeders out there that are some really trying to push hennies. So the hennies that I rode, I don't think were from the best stock.
Okay. All right. So just so if you're following me on Facebook or if you've seen us on our website or Pinterest, I actually have 2 mules. I have a Missouri Foxtrotter mule named JoJo. And then I have a much taller one that is a Tennessee Walker mule, and her name is Coco. So a lot of people, I've had people in my life that were completely against mules because you're actually breeding 2 different species of animal. Okay, so like a horse has 64 chromosomes and a donkey has 62 chromosomes. So whenever you blend those 2, you end up with an animal with 63 chromosomes. So what does that mean for a mule?
That means for a mule that they are sterile. So they cannot reproduce. So them being a hybrid, they could not go then and have a baby or make a baby.
Okay. Well, my mule JoJo sure is trying. Okay.
Trying's half the effort.
Yeah, JoJo, you know what, I write children's books, and in JoJo's book, I had to make sure and keep it PG, but he loves the ladies. Like, if one horse is mean to him, then he's like, I love her. Okay. JoJo loves the ladies so much that I got a piece of my tack called a latigo, which connects to their girth that goes underneath their stomach to hold the saddle on. I was just jacking around on Facebook, and I found one that has pinups. So JoJo has pinup girls on his latigo. I thought that was great. And luckily, everybody's covered up and everything. It's pretty funny, though. But anyways, and he is such a character. JoJo actually drinks beer.
Does he really?
Mm-hmm. It's got to be Coors Light, got to be cold, got to be from a bottle.
Oh, okay. Does he tip it up?
Yes, he does tip it up.
Oh, that a boy.
Yeah.
A shotgun one.
Oh, my God. And then Coco is not... she is not the animal that he is. Coco, if the sun is behind us and it's making our shadow, her shadow scares her. So the other day she saw her shadow and she's like, oh, heck no, that thing is following me around. What is this? And then she moved her own ear, and I promise you that mule dropped down and 90-degreed me so freaking fast. And then I'm over here like, you're afraid of your shadow. So
it was going to get her.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So tell me, what are some differences in training a horse versus a mule?
So the difference between training a horse and a mule is going to be the fact that you can't bully a mule into doing anything. So some horses you can kind of, after hours and hours and hours, you can bully them into doing a situation or just force them into doing it. A mule, you can't.
All right, so you can't bully them into something. So give us an example.
So, like, I'm big into obstacles. So, like, say you're going to a bridge. A horse, they might be like, I'm not sure about this, shy away a little bit. Well, with a little bit more leg and effort, you could just probably get them across it. A mule, you have to make it their idea. So you have to be like, oh, no, this bridge is going to be the easiest way for you to cross. It's going to be the quickest point from A to B, and B being the stall.
Okay. All right, so this sounds like the way I get my husband to do things. I've got to make it his idea. So
I've had a lot of people compare that, actually. A lot of clients have been like, oh, this is how I talk to my husband. I'm like, okay.
Got to make it his idea and be like, honey, you know what? That if we had a boarding barn, then, I wouldn't have to go catch the horses all the time. We could just get them up the night before.
Man, that sounds like such a good idea.
Man, if only we had a boarding
barn. Gosh. Oh.
I'm joking. Everybody always messes with my husband and I because, I was a heavyweight fighter, and they always joke around and say, I bet she wears the pants in the family. And I'm like, you're so dumb, because I make David homemade bread. He opens the door for me every time I go. I mean, that stuff doesn't bleed over into our relationship at all. So anyways, okay. So tell us about their ears. What's the deal with the ears?
So they get that, it's them being a hybrid. They're really a mix of both the donkey and the horse. So they get more of the donkey ears. Now their ears won't be quite as big as the donkeys, but they'll definitely get there.
Okay. And you know what? My experience with mules is that they love me to dig up in those things. They want me to love on them and rub them, and they want me to touch their ears. Is that the way it is with all mules?
Yeah, so I had an old cowboy once tell me, if you want a mule to be your friend, go scratch their ear and their butt.
Oh, okay.
And that is 10 out of 10 way you'll make a friend.
Scratch my ear and scratch my butt, and we're going to be friends.
Friends for life.
So, Lauren, tell me, whenever we started, I enjoy co-teaching with Lauren, and we began doing clinics together, which has been really nice because they're shorter clinics, and it's really nice to be able to have another person to bounce ideas off of, and one person can go set up stuff, or, it's kind of nice because I can have Lauren go and help direct someone in an activity where we're working on transitions, and then I can go over and talk to people about things that I saw that they needed to work on their run that they just finished. So, Lauren, you have now started teaching clinics all by yourself. All right, so pros and cons of co-teaching versus teaching the clinic all by yourself, other than the obvious of you don't have to split the income.
Yep.
Okay, so that right there is a lot nicer. So tell me the different, pros and cons.
So cons to teaching a clinic by yourself, always get the bad out of the way. You do not have that second person to build on. I find when we're co-teaching, one of us can kind of take a break, because after talking for even an hour and using a higher range of voice and yelling a little bit, your voice gets tired.
But hey, I want to clarify. She's not yelling at people angrily. She's, they're across the arena, and she's just
trying to volume up your voice.
Right.
So not having that break is nice. I do find that I don't drink as much water if I'm not co-teaching with someone, because I'm always I want to work. Pros is that I don't have that person to bounce ideas off of. So there's never any two opinions coming at you, even if they might not mean to be opposite opinions, they still could be. It flows a little bit better with you and yourself, because you're the only person making the decision about how the clinic flows. But then again, you also have to make that decision on how the clinic's going to flow, versus just having a person to be like, okay, I'm going to do this. What are you going to do? So there's definitely pros and cons. I definitely like when I'm teaching clinics with Brandy. I've taught clinics with a couple other people, and Brandy is definitely my favorite. I feel like we build off of each other. We're both very bright and happy people. Yeah. So we can keep things going and keep it light, and I really do feel like our trainings kind of line up together to the fact that I can kind of complete what she's trying to say, or she can kind of complete what I'm trying to say, and it's not coming off in the wrong way.
Right. It's easier for me to teach a clinic all by myself, because I have this large alpha personality, and it's easier for me to be like, bop, 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 we're going to do this right here. And then whenever I'm teaching with Lauren, I have to remind myself, okay, Lauren's driver right now, I'm the passenger. And then I'm like, ooh, this is nice. But it's really hard for me to take that step back, because I'm just used to being in charge of our facility and stuff. For co-teaching, I've only co-taught with one other person, and it worked well with that person. It was Teresa Rankin, and she and I, the way that she teaches and the terminology, she's different than I am with her terminology and stuff, but I felt like I wanted to be a student more than
that's awesome
than an instructor beside her. So yeah, she works a lot with Mustangs, and she's just really got a good feel. Her feel is better than my feel. Like whenever just where the weight of the horse is, and I don't know. I needed to be a student in part of the clinic. So, and then you're always worried when you're co-teaching, you don't want to ever be like showed up or be wrong.
Yep, there is that pressure.
Yeah, there is that pressure. But like, a lot of people cannot co-teach. You know what I mean? They're too... Headstrong's not the word, too just, independent's not the word. It's really hard to be like, all right, we're working on this.
And kind of take that step back.
Yeah, it is hard, but it is nice to be able to, because like, to be able to have those one-on-one conversations while instruction's still going on. Anyways, I like doing our co-teaching before we have a CT2V, which stands for Country Tough Trail Versatility Weekend. That's been so beneficial, and it's just the 2-hour classes. This right here, last year, I was able to actually find that I love teaching trail clinics.
Yep.
Teaching a clinic actually on the trail of helping people navigate actual natural terrain, that's where I excel. What is your favorite type of clinic to teach?
I won't lie. I do see the benefit in the trail, and I love going out on the trail, but I love the horsemanship clinics. Mm-hmm. I love the pattern clinics. That is a passion of mine, is creating that bond and those little exercises and stuff. That is definitely where I love to do it. But I have seen, it's a 50-50 split. I see the benefit in the trail because we can talk about, okay, well, when this happens out on the trail or when this happens on the trail versus actually going out there and helping these clients walk through that with their horse has been super beneficial. So I'm a 50-50 split on that.
Something that I've noticed is a lot of times people will learn something in the arena and they can do these amazing things. And then when they go on the trail, it's like they're a completely different rider. Yep. They don't think about sitting balanced in their seat. They don't think about not looking down. They don't think about
where their horse is actually walking.
Yeah, they don't think about anything. They're just kind of like, oh, we're not riding now.
They're passengers.
Ooh, girl, that was exactly right. They are passengers. So I like teaching on trail because it feels like instead of having 2 different languages that your horse has to know, then it's just one.
Yep.
Yeah, correct horsemanship on the trail is great. It's something that's besides mounted archery, which mounted archery is very specific. I really love teaching that. But trail classes are my favorite, and Western dressage.
Yep.
Yeah, I like, what a weird combination. And I do this. I do my favorite dressage animal is my Tennessee Walker mule. My favorite mounted archery animal is my Missouri Foxtrotter, and my favorite trail animal is my quarter horse. So, and what's funny is mules are supposed to be good on trail.
They're supposed to be the trail bosses.
Oh, yeah. No, JoJo's fancy. And then Coco, she drops it down in 4 low every time we go up a hill. And I'm like, I'm going to fall out of the saddle. Like, go faster.
16-hand mule, just dropping it down.
Oh, my God. It's literally like somebody's videoing us and they put it in slow-mo. And I'm like, I have to reach up and grab her breast collar because I'm falling. I'm sliding backwards, and I'm like, Coco, go. So, all right, mules. Have you ever had one that was not good at something?
Yes. So the first mule I actually ever bought, was from a friend of mine. And I will tell you, the first thing I do is I go up to pick up this mule, and it takes me 7 hours to load her.
Oh.
Yeah, first mule I ever bought. And I was like, what did I do? And then this mule was she was only halter broke. So I did all the groundwork, and she hated arena work. Hated it with a passion. And I love arena work. I love working in the arena. So she would get so sour and so mean in the arena, but as soon as you took her out on the trail, she was happy as a clam. And her current owner trail rides her all the time, takes her camping. That's her go-to mule.
Okay. All right. Well, my first mule was JoJo, and JoJo had he had been rode a lot one year, and the next year just a few times, and then the following year, Like they just got on him twice in the pasture. So, we had to work on some stuff. And then he put me on the ground. He put my husband on the ground. He put my husband on the ground on the second day that we owned him.
Oh, nice. Go JoJo.
JoJo's mane is completely roached, which means shaved off. And I thought JoJo was going to be just like perfect, so I put David on him bareback.
Oh.
And then a cat ran out from underneath.
A scary, vicious, mule-eating cat.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
so
sure.
he bucked David off. We just laughed. Oh, my gosh. That story, actually, the complete story makes it into JoJo's book. Okay, so he put David on the ground once. Then I've actually hit the ground twice from JoJo. So one time we were into grass over my knee, like that high of grass, and my dog, who's a blue heeler, who is obsessive compulsive about being super close to me, she ran underneath his stomach in that tall grass. So he put me in the dirt and then proceeded to chase her for like 15 minutes to try to get her. And then the other time that I came off of JoJo was last year. We were cantering circles, and my saddle came off, which that was awkward because everything was great. Then I'm over here like, am I falling? I think I'm falling. Then
Why is my mule over there?
I'm like, I'm falling off. What is going on? Then I'm like, oh my God. And then the saddle's like a wreck because it was just my latigo that came undone.
Oh,
but
boy.
Yeah, but he was fine. I mean, it was like, he just stopped and like looked at me, and I'm over here like, dude,
Did this really happen?
So I don't blame him for the dog. And most definitely don't blame me for my saddle coming off. Good God. The latigo just came undone a little bit, and I just came off. But other than that, I've had a great experience with my mules. They have such a personality. Like, my horses are more like I view them more like a tractor, like a piece of equipment that I have to do something. But the mules, I view them as like a dog, like a bigger dog. They, like, love you. So, What is your experience with horses versus mules?
Well, that's kind of why I switched over to mules. That's what really drove me to it. Was I rode this big mule named Price, and I took him to a show down in Springfield, Missouri called Ozark Mule Days, and it was our second show ever. And we walked in to do the keyhole race, which they drew the keyhole down at the end of the arena. So basically, run down and turn around in a circle, and they put it down in white baking powder. And you kind of know where this is going. So I'm just trotting on down, and I'm just happy as can be. And we get down there, and he spooks at the white powder. It was going to get him. And then we finally get in there, turn around, and the dirt he kicked some of the white powder. Oh, and he absolutely lost it. Took off with me. And that's actually how I got hooked on mules. As messed up as that sounds, he had just such a personality. And then I got off of him, and he was so ashamed. Like, he was so sorry that he ran away from the scary white powder. And I was like, oh my gosh. He just wanted to crawl up in my lap. He was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like,
afraid of a flower.
Yeah, I was like, okay, buddy. I'm going to build. They just have personalities on them, and I love that. Each mule is their own mule. There's never going to be two mules that are the same mule. And you just have to, it's like a little challenge for me. It's a puzzle. Like, that's how I think about it. It's a puzzle of what can I put the pieces together to get this working relationship with them. And I love it. It always keeps things interesting.
Okay, so, all right. So Lauren teaches clinics. She's competed in the past, and then you just competed recently. So tell us about that competition. Well, and how did it feel to take that gap off from competing and then going back into it?
So the last time I competed, I was not teaching. I was not any sort of professional. I was just kind of a nobody in the background, and I loved it because no one really knew who I was. And I went and competed at the Houston Livestock Show, Mule and Donkey, which is probably some of the best mule trainers in the USA go to that show. And it was definitely weird because I had to compete in open because I get paid. And I was going against mules that were probably $30,000, $40,000 mules, clipped up show mules. And I show up with my mule, my client's mule, who I love to death, unclipped with no tail. And we did not have the fancy saddles or anything like that because I just wanted to show and rip the Band-Aid off. I love showing. And it was definitely terrifying. Like, I was terrified. I was like, so many people are watching, and people actually know who I am, and they will be judging me, and yada, yada, yada. And I went in there with, I'm a big believer that when you show, you don't show for ribbons, you show for good rides. It's how I was raised, and I'm very thankful for that. So I went in there, and our first class was our trail pattern. We aced that. I came out of there super happy. And then second was ranch pattern. We did that, super happy. And then I have a really big passion for reining. And we went in there and absolutely best ride I've ever had on this mule in front of all these people. It was live stream. My mom was watching. I came out of that arena crying, happy, happy, happy tears. I was texting her owner saying, we just had the best ride. I couldn't believe this. People kept asking me if something was wrong. I was like, no,
everything's right.
Everything. It was just one of those rides that you work for. And I will try not to cry now, but then they announced that I placed 6th, which is a huge deal at this show, and there was just even more tears. And I will tell you, I got the weirdest looks because I did a little photo shoot with my 6th place ribbon where I was crying in most of it. And people just lose sight of that. They kind of lose sight. They always go for those blue ribbons if you don't get it. But that 6th place ribbon meant so much to me, and it just kind of made it easy, like going back in there.
So I'm going to ask the question because I'm sure a lot of people, how many people were in that division?
There were 9 in that division.
Okay. All right. So I will tell you that in my office, I have a 6th place ribbon. Like, it is on the wall. Okay. A lot of ribbons, I cut them up. I just keep the rosette. But no. There's a 6th place ribbon. There's a 3rd place. And then there's another one. I've kind of forgotten, about them. But I remember at the time it meant a lot to me that I put it on the wall. But, yeah, people forget about
They so forget about it.
And I will tell you, competing in the open division, the first time I ever competed in the open division, I did so well because I didn't think I had a chance. So I wasn't in my head because I was just like, whatever, gotta compete in open. And then I ended up 3rd at nationals. And I think there were 7 or 9. I mean, it wasn't like I beat 50 people or nothing. Okay, I think it was a single digit, and if it wasn't, then it was like 11. But I don't care. That 3rd place ribbon felt just for me to place above anyone. And that doesn't mean anything because I could have had the best ride in my life, and other people just could have had the best ride of their life, that could have been higher up than mine. So that doesn't mean anything to get last in the professional division. You know what I mean?
And judging is so subjective. I mean, it could, like, your judge could simply not like the color of horse you're riding or the color of mule or didn't like one thing you did. And it was just a cool experience because the mule I was riding is one that sums up my training. I have had her in training with me for 3 or 4 years, so she is, all her flaws are mine and all of her positives are mine. And the fact that she went in there, and she hasn't been shown either in probably about a year and a half, and performed that well with my training on top of that, and then I didn't get in her way.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
Oh my gosh. I was crying, texting her. And I don't like crying in public. I do not like showing emotion. And I was bawling in front of all these workers that were just like kind of staring at me like, what is wrong with her?
Well, I feel comfortable being able to say this to Lauren, but you know how some people cry and they're pretty? Lauren's not a pretty crier.
Sure. No. I'm that person, like, I try to, like, stone face it, and I'm like, I'm not going to cry. And then I just turn into a blubbery mess with snot coming. It's not good.
Oh, yeah. So I'm one of those criers where my face turns patchy.
Yes.
And then, like, everything starts flowing, and then it makes me gag.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and then I have people all the time, they're like, well, what's a pretty crier look like? I was like, there are pretty criers out there.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't me.
Yeah, the one where they got, like, the little lip quiver and the one big tear that goes
so
all the way down and gets their shirt wet. And I'm like,
snot,
yeah. So, anyways, I understand. Okay, so let's talk about, you are now, instead of just breeding for mules, what else are you looking at?
So I have a client that's bringing a Percheron stud into my barn to show and breed draft crosses with. And then we're also going to be seeing if an APHA stud has what it takes to become a stud. So we are branching out a little bit.
All right, so APHA?
American Paint Horse.
Okay, Association. That's
yeah.
that last day. Okay, so, man, I don't know who's listening. I mean, because we have followers all over the United States and different parts of the world, but the draft cross horses around here are bringing so this is a grade horse. Grade means that it's not going to be registered, and it is half draft. Okay, draft horses are the big old Donkey Kong ones, like big thick,
like the Budweiser Clydes.
Yeah.
Like they're draft horses.
Yeah, but those draft crosses, well, they bring so much money in our area.
Tell you, we just had our Boone County sale, our spring sale, and the highest draft crosses were averaging $20,000 to $30,000.
Yep.
And the ones that were lame, which means that they were hurt in some way, were about bringing $15,000.
I wonder why. I didn't know they'd sell a lame horse.
Oh yeah, there was. I'll show you some videos. Yeah, there are some.
Well, some of them, like if they just on the injured list, you know what I mean?
Or
like
that,
it just needs to get fixed.
They traveled a long way and they're sore from the traveling. Like stuff happens. Horses are horses at the end of the day. But usually those horses at auctions wouldn't bring that price tag, but they're bringing 15,000, 20,000 price tags even with that.
Yeah.
So
well, and every horse and mule that I own has been lame, in their life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it happens.
Yep. Not a big deal. Like if they step on a stone, they can just stone bruise it. And sometimes I'm like, I don't see nothing wrong. Why are you limping?
And they're like, it hurts.
And I'm like, I think you have figured it out.
No, it hurts.
Because as soon as our horses are lame, then I stop riding them. They go in the pasture, And
they usually get brought up for extra food and brushing and checking.
They're just like, I'm limping, I promise.
Yeah, I promise. It hurts real bad.
So you're talking about 3 studs.
I actually have 4 because I have my Jack that I stand currently, but he is 27, which means that I need to either start looking for a replacement or try to breed one out of him. And I have talked to some really experienced people in the breeding of donkeys because I don't know much about it, and they say it is hard to get a donkey bred.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially one that's been that has been breeding to mares all of his life. Because it's weird for him. That's not his normal.
Right. So if a donkey's used to breeding with a horse, then he's just like, get out of here.
Yeah, he's like, you smell kind of weird.
I'm used to breeding horses.
Yeah, you got long ears.
Oh my gosh. What's so funny is I think that my mules are used to being around horses. Like, their mother's a horse, right?
Yeah.
And then when they see other mules, they're just like,
what?
What are you?
Who are you?
I know, and I'm like, they have no concept that they're looking at themselves. What I'm basically
special creatures.
Oh my gosh, if you've never been around a mule, your life is not as good as it could be.
Yep.
Because they're just goofy. I mean, like literally goofy.
Yep, that's the best word.
So Jojo has these massive lips, and he will put my entire hand in his mouth, not bite me. And then I'm like, bro, dude, like for real? I mean, and I'm like, it was a peppermint from Sonic, but yet my whole hand is wet, and he's just like, oh, mama, thank you for that Sonic mint.
And see, so the mule I took to Houston, her name was Hattie Mae, and the ground, so there was 2 warm-up arenas in the arena, and it was super deep sand. And we had to pop Hattie up twice because she wanted to roll. One, which was in her showmanship class. So you're showing her in halter, and she was in lineup for the judge to inspect. And she wasn't even sniffing the ground or nothing, but she just decided that spot was a good place to roll, and she dropped and rolled.
And you're over here like, we're trying to do something fancy. Get up. We drove to Houston. Oh, my God. So in mounted archery, my first national level competition that we hosted one here in Missouri. Anyways, if you have to canter the entire time, and if you break down, then it's a disqualification. Jojo had to pee. So he stops.
Poor baby.
He really had to pee. He stretches out like a little puppy does, stretches out and pees, like to the point that the photographer got tired of taking pictures of me being like, what? Jojo had to pee right here, right now. Not at the end of the course.
No.
And it took us less than 16 seconds to get down the entire course, okay? But this one, he's like, no, this 16 seconds is when I have to pee.
Nope, I have got to go right now.
Yeah, so they're so goofy. Okay, so you said that you had a horse in training for 3 to 4 years. So explain, or a mule.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Do they not have land, or what are they doing?
So they do have land. They actually bred her. They had her since she was an itty bitty baby all the way grown up. And just the fact that they both have been working so much, and the lady that rides, because it's a couple, it's a husband and wife, she had to have 2 knees replaced.
Okay.
And then she kind of stopped riding, and she wanted to let her husband live his dream of raising blood tick hounds.
Okay.
So she kind of put a lot of time into that, but she didn't really want to sell her, so she just kind of hung out with me.
Okay.
She just kept her with me because she wanted her to have a purpose. She wanted her to have a job. She wanted her to continue her education. And
okay. Yeah. So a lot of times, I did an interview with a lady named Hannah Kaufman.
Yep.
And Hannah is a barrel racer, completely different people that I'm interviewing, that I'm talking about. I'm like you cannot be any more different. But, well, not really. But Hannah refuses to do 30 days. 30 days is just hardly anything, and she prefers 90 days or even longer because she's training for futurity horses.
Yep.
So so tell me the struggles with 30 days only, and do you think like a minimum, are you okay with 30 days, or do you think there should be 60 or 90? What do you prefer?
So in a perfect world, it would be 60 or 90. But the realistic side of it is a lot of these people can't necessarily afford to send their horse off for 60 or 90 days of training. So 30 days, I do not take anything that has under probably about 6 months of riding on 30 days because I don't really see a point to it. I think it's a waste of the owner's money. And I tell them that. I'm very honest with that. 30 days, the struggle is that it seems like the first week you're getting to know the horse. The second week they're testing you. And then the third and fourth week you might be able to get something done.
Okay.
And that's hard. I have taken some really well broke out horses for 30 days, but we have that conversation with the owner up front about being very honest about what their expectations are, because that's a big deal for me. I'm like, what is your expectations for these 30 days? I like to base my training program all on what the owner desires, all what they want. And 60 or 90, so my colts, if I'm breaking something out, they have to be with me for a minimum of 60 days, prefer 90 days.
Okay. All right. So tell me you're about to jump into this new adventure. So tell us about that, because whenever this podcast airs, she'll already have that in motion. All right. So go ahead and tell them.
So I have been, for the past 5 or 6 years, working as a vet tech and doing the equine side of it, training, breeding on the side, in quotes. So with the help of some people and some pushing from the right people, I have purchased my first property, which has, with some partners of mine, has 16 stalls, indoor arena, outdoor arena, and 17 acres on it. So I will be making the jump to full-time equestrian, which is terrifying. And we will be focusing on breeding and training and doing lessons out there.
And the thing that I am the most excited about are the draft crosses.
I know.
Not just because of their potential, their income potential, which is really cool, but those horses are beautiful and they are thick.
Yep.
But they're not like ridiculous thick. Like with draft horses, their hooves are so large. It's a very specialized farrier to come in,
Yep.
And so
a lot of farriers won't work on draft horses.
No, that hoof is just the same size as their face. But with a draft cross, it's manageable. It's just a much larger hoof.
Yep.
So it's like you're getting, the world's getting fatter, right? So it is kind of nice to have draft cross horses, just because then they're able to carry our chubby butts around.
Well, that, and it seems that these past 3 or 4 years, the big ranches have realized how positive the draft horses can be, that they can pull even bigger calves on them, and they last generally a little bit longer, and they're hardier. Mm-hmm. So it has really exploded in the ranch side of it, and then the draft cross market has just kind of taken off.
Okay, so, and Okay, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But you know what? The bigger they are, the closer they are to heaven. Like they're sweeter. And like these little bitty horses, they're like close to the devil. So it seems like the bigger an animal is, and that's a very big generalization. And I know that there's going to be outliers everywhere. But our largest animal is just the sweetest thing that she could ever be. And it literally, if we stacked them up from tallest to shortest, it goes from nicest to meanest, that same line. Okay, so I don't know. It just seems like they're bigger, and they tend to be nicer. It seems like
that's true. So I did because I'm a very curious person. I like to know the facts behind things. So I went into the depth, like, why does it seem like smaller horses are a little bit more feisty and the bigger ones are sweeter? Well, back when they imported all these horses over, they only bred the nice ones and the bigger ones because they couldn't manhandle them, versus like the smaller ponies, they thought they could manhandle them. I'm going to use the word thought because we all know that's not true. So that's why, like, they've just kept those lines of just sweet old big horses. I mean, there's going to be exceptions to every rule, but that's the history behind it, is that these men thought they could just manhandle these smaller horses and push them around and work in the mines. But the big horses are like, oh, they're like 17, 18, 19 hands. We need to breed, like, sweetness into them.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Because if I had a big animal and then it realized that it could be like a killer, like I would be like,
we would be in so much trouble. Yeah.
You got to go now. Yesterday you got to go. Bye. Okay, so with training people, what's the number one thing, if you could tell someone, like, what's the thing that you're always saying that you're like, man, I have said this so much, that could help people with their horsemanship? And whenever I say horsemanship, I just don't want to say horsemanship, mulemanship. Okay? Like,
it's fine. So the big thing that I harp on and I'm very passionate about is taking lessons before you purchase a horse and getting that knowledge down. And then when you go to buy a horse, and I've seen, like, this past year, I've been saying this a lot, when you go to purchase a horse, have a trainer with you or someone knowledgeable, and buy with something that will be compatible with you.
Right.
So people like to buy, like, the fanciest stuff and the things that are flashy and go-go-y, when they really need, like, the good old bay quarter horse that has been there, done that. And I, like, a lot of people seem to have this generalization that trainers are just out for money and that we're all evil and snooty and stuff, when it's the good majority of us are not. And a lot of us get into this business because we want to help.
Right.
And I seem to keep telling people that, is that I'm here to help. Right. I'm here to help you. I'm help to make sure that you keep safe,
right,
that you have a safe mount, and that you can reach your goals.
So, I mean, like, I have got to meet a ton of trainers, and there are some out there that will sell you something that is doped up, and then that horse is, you break your neck, oh well. You know what I mean?
Yep,
like,
it's not their problem.
Yeah, there's some bad things that go on in the horse world, and then there's amazing things where I don't allow people to be in my life that have, if I ever see a trainer do something like that's in a negative step towards an animal or a negative step towards a person, and I don't mean, like, being, doing an over-under on them, getting onto them, nothing like that. But no, I mean, like, a legit bad step.
Something truly astonishing.
Yeah, they are out of my life.
Yep.
And they're not allowed back here, and we're done, right? But then the people that I have in my life, they are so honest. So, like, I had a lady bring a horse to me, and they were having issues with it running off as soon as they got on, and I was like, ooh, I'm not the trainer for this, but I'm going to take it to this Amish trainer that I trust. His name is Sam Shetler. Okay, so Sam got on the horse, rode it for a week, and then whenever I went and checked on the horse, he was like, this horse is never going to be for a child, never going to be for a novice. And I was like, okay. So then we helped place that horse with the appropriate person and sold it. that is the people that you need to have in your life.
Yep.
There are so many people that are stuck with a horse that doesn't work for them. And if it's beautiful, they're going to dump that animal on you and then run away. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you have got to, if you're a first-time horse or mule owner, you need to look out. Don't be buying something without knowing something else about that or having another person go and talk to them. I like to now, whenever I'm purchasing an animal, I want to keep it for a week or two.
At least.
And write a contract, because my husband and I have gotten burned so bad. So bad. I mean, they see me ride all the time and they're like, oh, this horse just needs to be rode more. And no, it's a horse that's got some major problems. So like, I just want you to make sure that you are, make sure you have the right people in your life that are going to look out what's best for you, what's best for your ability, what's best for your children, for your grandchildren.
Yep.
And if they're doing something wrong, you've got the wrong person in your life to help you.
And it is okay to switch trainers. It is okay to learn from different people.
Oh, yeah.
I am such a big believer that like your training is a toolbox, and you can always learn something from someone, and you can just put it in your toolbox. And you might not use that tool for the next 5 horses, but the 6th horse you might.
Yeah. Well, I am more of like a grassroots person. I like to take people from the very beginning, and then I am good with like people that are scared, people that don't know anything, and then first time to take a lesson, because to tell you the truth, I'm doing these higher end trainers a favor by me helping them address some issues, just to understand that you can use your leg or your seat. A lot of people don't even know that at all. And so I love when people outgrow me, because I know that they've got a good solid foundation, and then I want them to go on to do the fancy things. So, I mean, it's okay to, I use probably 3 trainers. One of them is like my primary one. And then I like to take a lesson with somebody, just kind of sprinkle it in to see if it gets worded a different way. Yep. Just the fact that earlier in this podcast, you said they were being just a passenger. And, I was like, oh, that's what it is. They're not being an active learner. They're being a passenger. So, like, I learned something during this podcast just from having a conversation.
And I was always, and again, I had a lot of amazing people in my younger life that shaped me into the person I am today. And I had a trainer tell me, if your trainer does not have at least one trainer, you need to get another trainer, because in this industry, if you think you know all, you are a dangerous, dangerous person.
Yeah. Whenever you think you know all, you know nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. So I've been a big fan of Lauren ever since I met her. She's just got some great work ethic in her. And if she doesn't know something, she'll take the time to learn it. And then I actually had her be a presenter last year at the first ever Missouri Horse Expo. You know what? That event, we were at capacity for our facility. And my vendors that were there selling things said that they sold more stuff at our small trail riding expo than what they did at larger things. So, Lauren, how was that with being at the first Missouri Horse Expo?
It was definitely an honor. It was my first time ever being at an expo. So not only was it the first Missouri Horse Expo, but it was my first time being at an expo. And it was an amazing experience, something I learned a lot about. I'm super excited for this year. Yeah. It's something that you can see grow. The presenters that were here were amazing. Brandy has an amazing talent of just finding the right people that make this puzzle, and it makes a beautiful picture. And it was something that I'm very much looking forward to this year.
Yeah. So last year I think we just had you do the same thing for 3 days in a row, but this year I'm making each day different. Friday is different than Saturday, and Saturday is different than Sunday. I want to make it to where people are excited about coming each one of the 3 days. Okay.
Which I think is an amazing idea.
Yeah, it just means triple the amount of lectures and triple the amount of work and triple the amount of clinicians, but that's okay.
It's okay. It's fine.
It's okay. You know. I know. So, and you're training people's horses, you're teaching clinics, you're co-teaching, you are being a presenter at expos.
Yep, I'm taking on consignment horses and mules.
Okay, consignment meaning that you're going to help sell them.
Yep, help them place in the right home.
Okay, so, and then you're doing a breeding program.
Yep, we are really shooting that up this year.
Okay, so, and then the only thing we have also to talk about is judging. Okay, so Lauren has been, she's a very dependable judge, and she's a very fair judge. So tell me some of the behind the scenes things that you love and things that you hate, okay, about judging.
Okay, so I love judging. I love judging. I've always been one that I love watching people and how they better themselves and what they can work on and help being a part of that step to better themselves. And that's how I look at judging, is that judging is just another capacity of teaching someone, helping someone learn and grow, making it a positive experience. So something I love about judging is the fact that I do get to see these competitors grow, and I get to see how hard they work. And if you don't think your judges notice that, they do. And it is something that I very much admire, and it moves me to better myself. Some of the cons of judging are the facts that you might be out in the woods for like 3 hours. And some things have to happen. And the fact that sometimes you don't always make everybody happy. Okay, and I'm very much a people pleaser. Mm-hmm. I want to help everybody, and sometimes that help is hearing something that they don't necessarily want to hear. And I don't mean in a rude way, but that something needs to be improved upon. And the fact that you can see the disappointment in their face.
Oh yeah, I hate
and
crushing.
Sometimes, yeah.
I don't mean to crush people. Sometimes I've said something, and you know what? It stuck with them for years.
Years.
I've had people that, oh, girl, this has happened to me twice. Okay, and I don't even mean to mess up, and I didn't know I messed up until someone else told me that I had messed up, okay, because it had just crushed this person. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. This is Brandy crushing the life of
Confessions
people.
101.
Oh, my gosh. I had people that had competed in novice, and then I was just like, hey, you need to compete up, okay? So the way that was to me, I was just like, dang, girl, you're
doing so good. Let's move you up.
The way that it was, but you know, what you intend and the way it's perceived are two different things. The way that it was taken was that I was telling them basically that they were like cheaters, or that they were down there doing something bad. And I'm over here like, man, you're so good, you should move up. Yeah. You know, I'm over here like, yay, like in my own little world.
Yeah,
just
you did so good.
Like, you need to move up, you know, but like, I don't know how it was said with my tone or something, but it has made two people, it messed them up. And I was like, there was no intention there, but people get pretty messed up about competition.
They do.
And I have been messed up about competition, especially since I used to do that full contact fighting and stuff. Like, yep. I've been messed up about competition.
Yep.
Girl, there's some like things that if I ever have like, you know, that memory gets lit, I'm going to tell you like 27 details about something, and you're going to be like, whoa, you know.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
Like, I just got wrapped up into some stuff. And it's now with us hosting events and judging and doing the training, I try to be a lot more aware of how they're going to perceive stuff. But then at the same time, I've got to put that on them a little bit, because like they should have talked to me about it.
Yep. And and it's something that I used to be a CHA certified, which is
Certified Horseman
Association.
Yeah.
I was an assistant while in my younger teaching days. I'm a certified assistant with them, and they taught me something really great, which is you sandwich stuff. You do something good they did, something they need to work on, and another thing that they did that was really good. Mm-hmm. And that seems to have kind of doused the fire sometimes. Like, there are those times where I just really said something wrong or it was portrayed in the wrong way. Because all these judges out here, and I will probably group most of us together no matter what association you're in, we want to see you succeed. We want to see you go higher. So those words are just meant to help you improve yourself.
Yeah, I have a blog on our website. It's vonholtenranch.com. And on there, underneath our trail and camping tab, there's something called Trail Talk. Well, in there, I post all of my old articles. Well, there's an article about putting the judge back on the pedestal.
Yep.
So, a lot of times, if you're a judge, people just hold you so high up on this, like they think what you say is such a reflection of exactly how they are. And then other people need to be nicer to judges. So it's like this whole weird dynamic with being a judge, because you have to make sure you don't say anything wrong. And then people have to make sure that they respect you and don't, because it's subjective judging.
It is subjective.
If you give them a 4 out of 10 and then they don't disagree with you, well, they don't get to argue with you about it. They just have to ask you, like, what can I do to improve? And then they've just got to take that and don't be like, well, you're wrong. Okay, so they've got to not do that. But then they've also got to be like, that's her opinion of a snapshot.
Yep.
So like, I don't know, judging, I actually try to not judge at Von Holten Ranch, because I'm the face of our facility, and then if someone ends up losing and it's by 0.25, they have not come back because they're just like, oh, she didn't want me to win, and I'm over here like, I don't even remember your run.
Yep.
Yep.
I
don't know. There's just like a whole dynamic, like, love your judges, ask them questions.
Thank them.
Yeah, thank them, most definitely. Don't come to them right after it and be like, do you remember on that 4th obstacle, did I turn to the left or did I look down? They're not going to know the specifics.
No, after seeing 43 runs, like, it just runs together at the end of it, and you're just like, I'm tired. I usually have to pee. Like, I don't remember. And don't take offense to that. If a judge does not remember your run, just don't take offense to it, because there's just a lot going on in the day.
So what's your end goal? Like, what's something that, all right, Lauren's in her 20s, so what do you want to do? But I know you're about to do it, get this breeding up and going, but do you have, like, something, like, I have big goals, that I'm wanting to do, and I don't even, some of them I can't even say on here right now.
Ooh, super secret stuff.
I know. I love it.
So the big dream, which I always thought that it was just a far out dream, but it is becoming more of a reality, and we are taking steps in that way, is I am a big believer in veterans benefits and helping our veterans out. I do not feel like they get treated right. I come from a full family that has served, and I served for a very short time, and I know what it's like to sign your name on that dotted line saying that you will take a bullet for someone, you will take a bullet for a complete stranger. It's something that it sits with you, and I want to do therapeutic riding with horses, with equine, and kind of help our veterans out in that way, because the studies out there that how much horses and mules or any equine help people with mental illnesses or PTSD is astonishing. And there's only 2 facilities in the U.S. right now that do it, and they're booked out months and months and months in advance, and I just think that's unacceptable. Right.
Well, with the suicide rates of our veterans,
it's astonishing.
It's so sad. Mm-hmm. And I've had some veterans in my life that have called suicide lines and stuff, and there was no one there to be able to help them, or like there wasn't like someone to be like, okay, you need to talk to someone.
And I think that's totally unacceptable. My dad, during the latter part of his life, lived at a VA home, and when you drove up, you saw a sign that says the price of freedom is seen here. And that just stuck with me.
Whoa, that's staggering.
That's especially walking in there and seeing how the veterans were treated. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
This is unacceptable. And so I just want to make my part of difference, and I want to help as much as I can. And that is a big dream of mine. It's something that is really starting to become a reality and be able to be attainable. So,
right. Well, I think, you know what? See, this right here is why Laura and I get along. You know, I had a pretty rough childhood, and now with my children's books that are agriculture based, I'm wanting, I mean, like the third book that's about to come out in my series is about how having a bad childhood does not define you as an adult.
Yep.
I mean, my first book was about how one positive person can make a difference in the world. You know, a lot of people think that it doesn't matter that they're here, that they can't make a difference. They can't
change, yep.
Well, and you know, I have had people come into my life and I have impacted them, and I've gotten to see the difference. And there's been people in my life, I mean, just the smallest thing, like my martial arts instructor, the why I moved here, you know, everybody always tried to get me to lose weight. You're going to fight so much better whenever you lose weight, right? Like, oh, you're going to be able to move so much better when you lose weight, right? Well, then my instructor was like, okay, so let's use the tools that you got in your toolbox. And I was like,
well, that's weird.
Oh my God. Love you. You're not trying to make me lose weight. So, I mean, like, yeah, they wanted me to be fit, and I had to, you know, I was always on my journey of trying to lose weight, but they accepted me for like, okay, let's see things that you do well. And then I did really well as a fighter, and like, I literally, like, as soon as I said those words to you, I could feel like this, like a weight is lifted off of me, you know, which is ironic that I'm talking about weight, but no, I can feel that relief now. And, you know, it's just really cool to see, you know, a lot of people that are Lauren's age, because you are, how old are you?
24.
They don't know what the heck they're doing. You know, a lot of people do, though. You know, like, I hate whenever the world doesn't think that young people can do things, you know. But it is really cool because I do see young people that are so lost and they don't have a clue what they want to do. And then I see the high achievers. So, all right. So if you could, what is the one thing in your horsemanship that you wish that you could talk to your younger self about? That you would be like, oh, man, fix that.
Mine is going to be, don't be getting jealous over what other people have that you don't. Because you don't know what kind of battles they're going through and how blessed you are in situations. And I've felt this a lot recently because I have had such amazing opportunities. And I remember just being eaten by jealousy in my younger years and being so hateful towards other people because they had something that I wanted. I couldn't understand why I could not have that when they were dealing with their own battles.
Right.
So that's the biggest advice, because I was just eaten up with, I missed a lot of opportunities because.
See, I think for myself, it would be that I'm okay. Like, I don't know, I never thought that I was really, like, good enough. And I would always try to achieve and achieve and achieve. Well, now achievement for me is kind of, it's a habit. You know what I mean? Because I'm used to putting in the work and like setting goals and stuff. So I'm going to keep the positive part of that, but how that like addiction almost to achievement was started was just because I was trying to get people's approval. And now it's just a habit. Now I enjoy it. So it's kind of like something started for a negative reason, but I keep it because of all the positives that come from it. So I don't know, like, that would be it. And I wish that I would have got into like I used to be into jogging. Wish I would have stayed with that.
Stayed with the cardio.
All right, so this right here, Lauren McCain. How do they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook on Graceful Equines, or you can edit. You can find me on Facebook at Graceful Equines, and that's will be the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Okay, well, what if Facebook crashes and burns? Do you have a different way just in case? Do you have like Instagram or anything?
Yeah, Instagram is going to be LG McCain. Also have a TikTok. If you're on TikTok, that is Graceful Equines.
I'm slightly addicted to
so
TikTok.
Am I. Kind of like a dirty little secret that you have that you're like, okay.
I love TikTok. Like, sometimes my husband would be like, hey, I'm going to watch TV. And I'm like, awesome. I'm going to go watch TikTok. And I'm like, I know I'm too old for it, but then I'm not.
No, I'm slightly addicted. And by slightly, I mean I'm overly addicted to TikTok. But so you can totally find me on there, Graceful Equines.
All right. Well, hey, I hope that you enjoyed meeting Lauren McCain right here on Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holten.